Hi everyone, it's Stella from Meeple University and welcome to my Tabletop Diary vlog. Yes, I am today joined by Tarrant, the other half of Meeple University.
Hello.
So, as you probably some of you know, we usually do how to play, brief overview, playthrough video and bits and pieces like vlog or interviews. In this video, I'm going to talk about social deduction game. If you missed my last vlog, I was talking about social deduction game, Werewolf, Avalon and Spyfall. I am going to talk in a little bit more details about what we think about it. Me and Tarrant may have different opinions, and stay tuned until the end of the video. We'll talk about our most favorite and least favorite social deduction game coming up. If you have been enjoying our channel or contents, please consider subscribing to our channel. This will really help us monetizing our channel and also invest more on better contents and better equipment. Social deduction games, what are they?
Loosely speaking, any game that contains some concealed information. Someone knows it, someone doesn't. The first player wins by lying about it, and the second player wins by finding out what that information is.
That's loosely speaking. A lot of variations on different games that we play. So it is correct, we basically try to conceal certain information by bluffing to your friends, lying to your friends to be able to reach the objective in the game. So we're going to talk about what we think about it. Mainly I would say I like social deduction games more than you.
That's certainly true. I think as a blanket statement, I would normally say that I don't like social deduction games. And that's not completely true. That's a little bit too broad brush of a statement, but yeah, it's generally not my favorite type of game.
Okay, let's talk about one example. One that I play quite a lot is Werewolf, which I talked about in my last vlog. So this is the Night Werewolf or Ultimate Werewolf. There's other variation as well called One Night Ultimate Werewolf. This is the different version of Werewolf. Just to talk about briefly about the game, basically you got hidden roles, whether the good guys or the bad guys. The bad guys are werewolf. You basically conceal your roles and then trying to win depending on who you are. Werewolf try to kill the villagers, villagers try to kill the werewolf. In One Night Werewolf, this is quite different. So the game is really quick paced because it has a timer. You're trying to obviously find out who the werewolf are if you are the villagers, and the werewolf trying to survive and don't get killed at the end of the night. So those two are main common one. Now what I really like about it is that this one, One Night Werewolf plays up to 10, but the Ultimate Werewolf plays up to 75 players. But generally,
I cannot imagine a game with 75
it would be so long. So what I've played probably plays 15-25 players. That probably would be a good number. This game is really good. A lot of interaction, a lot of bluffing. It's quite a long game, so it is a good party game. It does need a host to run it, which I talk about as well. Last vlog, Dave Dales runs the Werewolf Melbourne here in Melbourne. So yeah, that's the good thing about it. It's just, I think it trains me a little bit to be a little bit better at lying. So what do you think?
For me, I know a common complaint about Werewolf is that it has player elimination, and if you're out early, then you're out for quite a while. But I mean, for me, that's part and parcel of the game. It's really not that bothers me about the game. I think for both of these, I find them a little bit too freeform and a little bit too unstructured. You're basically thrown into a situation where there's if you're on the villagers team, you have absolutely no information, and you immediately have to start trying to work out who's lied based on nothing.
Okay.
And I find it quite difficult to do that. I find it, I respond to specific things that are going on very well. And when I find myself thrown into one of these games and there is really no useful information that exists other than what other people are telling you, half of which is lies, it makes me quite uncomfortable.
Okay.
And
unless you're a werewolf, probably, then you know who the other werewolves are, and you can then just trying to kill the villagers in the game slowly.
Yeah. Really, my brain doesn't work in a abstract, quick enough way to make up effective lies in those games.
It's the type of person who like to work on a concrete rules and then work the strategy based on that certain structure of rules. So social deduction game is really different compared to the normal European style game, for example. It's just different type of games. There's a lot of social. The main varieties, replayability came from the people itself. Yeah.
And I think the other couple of things that I don't enjoy about those really freeform games, one is the fact that I'm in a team, and there's always that threat of letting the team down. It's got a real, there's a real peer expectation, I think, in a game like this. So I find that adds to the stress of it a little bit.
It's probably more on Avalon, not on Werewolf.
A little bit more on Avalon, yes.
Because if you let the team down and you try to communicate with your other teammate not to put 2 fail cards, for example, there are some, I think if you play with the same people a few times, then maybe you have some sort of unspoken rules or house rules. For example, in Avalon, if we play as bad guys, 2 bad guys in a team, then whoever lead the mission will have to put the fail card, not the other person, for example, if you only need 1 fail card in the mission. So yeah, I know what you mean though. With Werewolf, you try to work out from nothing. You try to gather information, like F in my last vlog said, you're trying to see body language, how people are, especially you play with the same friends every time, so you can sort of tell if they're lying or not. And there are some tips if you're interested in that. Check that out. Not tips in lying, but trying to conceal that information. I think it's a bit of an art. When I first started, I got so nervous if I'm the bad guy, if I'm the werewolf. So I got nervous, and then I was like, what am I? So therefore people know about my secret identity. So that's the sort of thing I don't want to do, but I can understand some people, probably it's not for everybody.
Yeah, and let's say that's relevant to Avalon as well as the werewolf games. And I find Avalon for me has that same dauntingness of just being extremely freeform. You sit down, you choose the initial missions based on nothing. It almost always passes, so you've got almost no information the second time around. It's just too freeform for me to my brain can't click into it.
With Avalon though, you can still see how people vote. So basically the basic rule of thumb is that if you're the good guy, convince everyone you're a good guy. If you're a bad guy, convince everyone that you're a good guy. So always pretend that you're a good guy. But if the more you play, the more you can see how, especially certain group plays the game. They might just look at the voting system to find out who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. Say if you, for example, vote out of 10, you're not in a mission, and then you vote yes, and then people will get suspicious of you, because why would you vote yes but you're not on a mission? You're supposed to pretend to be the good guy, and the good guy's supposed to not know everything, if that makes sense. So that's one thing. It's just like a learning curve, I think. I found new people that just played it. They just get confused, and that's not real strategy, and a little bit more abstract than if you have played that for a while, I think.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's always been a barrier to me on Avalon, is it does, more so than Werewolf, have a very steep learning curve. And it's very difficult. You can tell the experienced players from inexperienced players, particularly in Avalon. It's almost a more scientific social deduction than Werewolf or One Night. Yeah,
that's fair enough. Some people like it, some people don't. But there are also some other good social deduction games that you like, I believe.
Yeah, so, I mean, jumping off that same point, it's the blank canvas that gives me problems in a lot of these games, like Avalon or Secret Hitler's another one. One that has one that's quite structured that I really enjoy is Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. So it's got the same basic structure where one person is a murderer, one person's helping them, and everyone else who doesn't know has to identify who it is. But rather than just having no information and accusing each other of lying, we're speaking about there's clues based on the objects and potential murder weapons printed on a series of cards. And each player has 4 of these blue cards and 4 of these red cards. So there's a whole lot of these items sitting on the table. And there's one player who is on the good team and knows who the murderer is. And they answer some specific questions silently, which guides you towards certain clues and certain murder weapons. And so for me, this game is a lot more structured and a lot more comfortable for me to play because the conversation is based on these items. It's not just, you can't be misconstrued as personal attacks. It's all a very structured conversation about these items. And so as I recognize that it's social deduction light, but for me and for the things that I enjoy and the things that I can quickly converse about, these cards and the structure that brings to Deception.
And the location or whatever clue cards that points to the these cards. Yeah.
So that really helps me, and I think I would recommend Deception, Murder in Hong Kong for anyone who is really daunted by the blankness of the canvas in Avalon or Werewolf. Yeah,
that's really good. I actually enjoyed it as well. I mean, I haven't met anyone that don't like Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. It does need one moderator that gives everyone clues on location of crime and trying to work to solve the murder and trying to find the culprit. I really like it. It's placed well. They just you're absolutely right about based on something rather than nothing at the start. Yeah. So there are other games as well, social deduction games like Coup.
Yep. Coup. Where's the box for that? Coup was, for me, it was one that I played quite early in my board game journey, and it probably falls under the really structured. So it's not quite as structured as Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, but you're still responding to a few very specific things that are happening, and it's not a team game.
Yeah.
So each player has 1 or 2 of these personality cards. There's only 5 different types.
Yeah.
And on your turn, there's only a couple of actions you can do.
Yep.
And each of these, the ones that you have, corresponds to 1 or 2 specific actions.
Yep.
The kicker in the game is that you can lie about what cards you have and just do any of the actions.
Yep.
And then the game is about identifying whether another person is lying or not.
Yeah.
And so whenever anyone takes an action, you're responding to only 2 or 3 possibilities.
Yeah.
And so that, again, it makes it a lot more
structured.
It's not as blank, it's more structured. And it's a really quick game. So if you're out, it's solo, so you've only got yourself to hurt.
Yeah.
And
there's no team
B,
playing.
it's 10 minutes before you're back in again. So I always, that length of the game, I always used to play really fast and loose with accusations and get
so do you
destroyed on the first round.
Do you have to remember who's who? And sometimes that's my problem a little bit. I don't have a great memory, and then I forget who was what card was used. That there's a bit of that element, isn't it, in Coup?
There is a little bit of card counting and a little bit of remembering what people have done. Yeah,
I think that's probably a bit of my issue with remembering what people have done, what role they have. There are how many roles in this game?
It's only 5.
Only 5?
Yeah, 3 copies each of 5 cards.
Right, maybe I probably play with the expansion at the time as well.
There is 1 or 2 added in the expansion, yes.
Yeah, so that's probably, it's good and nice and quick, but I feel like, I don't know, it's something, there's no teamwork. That is probably like the opposite of what you think. So I've got
no one to let down, but no one to work with.
I know, there's no one that I work with. I work for my own rather than like, at least work in a team, trying to gain a team objective. Although sometimes I let the team down. And then I'm just trying to lie. It's just like straight lie of what your role is. For me, it's a little bit hard rather than trying to divert that attention for something else or other team member where I can't actually do that in crew. So like for myself, and I can't really lie, and I find that it's a bit hard to lie straight away about that.
Just to have exactly the wrong card and just blankly lie about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I used to not even look at my cards when I played
That's probably
this
a
game.
good idea.
Just,
blatantly lie about that.
it's like, all right, I want to play with a Yugen ambassador this time. Just act as if that's the case.
Until other player has actually those cards.
Yeah.
And then
they call me and it's like, I'll be back in 5 minutes.
That's true.
It's easy to play fast and loose when the game's that short, I think.
That's actually true.
Can't do that in Werewolf.
No,
You're out in the first round.
That's the only down thing about it is that when you out, then you out of the game for a while. I know in a local tap house in Kilda where Dave hosts the Werewolf game, they actually have 2 groups running, which works like really well. So the first group starts, and then people start to come to the pub, and then when people start to get eliminated, then they will go to a second group starting in another game, which is really good. There's another way as well. I think Dave talks about how there's mechanics where they trying to bring people, the one that's already dead, but they have to not refill the role. So there's just a few ways to involve people, even though they got eliminated quite early in the game.
You know, the funny thing for me with Werewolf is, until really recently, I never really considered it a social deduction game properly. When I first played it, which I think I was 17 at the time, and it was Mafia for us, it wasn't Werewolf, and the roles were completely vanilla. There were no special roles, and it was just black playing cards or red playing cards. It really wasn't about winning or losing. It was about whoever most recently died took over moderating and took over as the narrator. And it was really just a game about sitting around accusing each other of things for no reason and then telling funny stories about how the next person died in the most gruesome and ridiculous Mafia-inspired way. So for me, it was always more of a light storytelling game than it was social deduction in any serious way.
So your motivation were different. So it's not about the game, it's about the journey.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it is though, a lot of the times.
And Werewolf Mafia in that way is good and flexible like that.
Yeah. So we've got another type of social deduction game, which is Spyfall. Talked about it a little bit last time. So what do you think?
So it's really, it's the reverse of all the other team games because it's one versus many and the one is the one who has no information. Werewolf, Avalon, the minority is the one that has the information. Spyfall, and then there's some others along a similar vein, like Fake Artist Goes to New York.
Oh yeah, I like that game.
Which was also packaged as Sunken Sailor. And probably various other names. Those, they're all one versus many where the one has no information. But they have an easier get out of jail victory at the end. And so with Spyfall, you've got about 6 minutes or 12 minutes or something. Everyone knows a location. One person doesn't. And you just ask questions around the circle and try to give an answer that's vague enough that the spy doesn't know where you are, but not vague enough so that everyone thinks you're the spy.
It's a bit scary to be the spy, I think. You're going to have to, you feel like everyone knows where the location is but yourself. So you have to be really careful, you know, with your questions, not to reveal yourself as a spy. That's quite nerve-wracking. That's probably, if you're the spy, I don't think I have been the spy, or maybe I have.
I don't think I have either. I think I have to reserve my judgment on this sort of game until I've actually been the spy, because I think I just have an absurd run of luck where I've been on the good team.
Actually, I might actually have been a spy, and I remember trying so bad to guess where it is, and then trying to do my question as similar as possible to the other guys, trying to, oh yeah, okay, these sort of questions that they're asking with no clue whatsoever what's going on, where we are.
I think the problem I've found playing this game sometimes is that it can get stuck. If people aren't that... You do have to think pretty quick to come up with something that you think's not going to give it away to the spy, but sort of be a clever answer. And so this one I've played a few times where it's just gotten really stuck, and it's a 6-minute game and there's like 20 seconds between questions. I think Fake Artist Goes to New York or Sunken Sailor, because in that one you're drawing, everyone draws a line, putting together a common picture. And you've got a little bit more time to think in that one. I think it flows a little bit better than Spyfall. But again, you've got to have the right group. If you've got a quick thinking group, Spyfall should flow really nicely. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on Social Deduction. I think you can tell all of the ones that I prefer are Social Deduction light. Very structured. I don't have to think too broadly. I got some specific things to think about. And that probably makes me a bit of a... when I say I don't like Social Deduction games, if you're into the big ones, then you probably agree that that's true. But I think for me, the one I struggle with the most is Avalon. It's too broad for me, and there's too much pressure, I think, in the close-knit team environment. And for me, the structure that comes with Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, makes that the perfect Social Deduction for me.
So that will be your least favorite Avalon and your most favorite Deception.
I think so, yes.
Very good. Well, in my opinion, my most favorite is actually Werewolf. I like Avalon too. I thought about this. I like the Deception too, really like it. But with Werewolf, I play with a bunch of people I know, my friends, and we're trying to was having a joke together and just relax, casual environment where you don't have to worry about rules a little bit. Or you do. You have to remember your roles, but you can just lie to your friends, do whatever you want. And it's just moderated, and then it's just so much fun. I think the interactions makes the games really different every time. There's a lot of variation depending on the people you're playing with as well. So that's probably make Werewolf my favorite Social Deduction game. However, my least favorite is probably Coup, unfortunately, because of the reason I said before. It's not sad. I still play Coup. It's just that I don't belong to any teams, and I gotta lie, straight lie, and I don't remember who's playing what card and what has been swapped. My memory's not that great, so whenever I lie, I'm just too scared to lie straight. I can't really look at that person when I lie. While in Werewolf, it's more like deflecting information rather than straight lie. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I would say my least favorite would be Coup.
And that is why we mostly play Euros together.
Well, that's why we do have our friends to play Social Deduction with. So I'm more big into Social Deduction than Tarrant.
And I will tag along, but yes, it's not my favourite sport.
So that's our vlog about Social Deduction game. You may agree, you may not agree. Please write in the comment sections below. We'd like to hear what you think, what you say. If you want to suggest us to play certain games perhaps, maybe we haven't mentioned certain games here that we have played before. I have also provided a link in the description below if you like to get that game, so just for convenience purposes. And also if you have any ideas for my next vlog, you can just write also in the comments below. And finally, if you like, consider subscribing to our channel by clicking the Meeple in the corner. Hopefully, I'll see you again soon. Until next time.